Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new video. And today we're going to be discussing just the Iowa caucus that's being held tonight and how I see that affecting the race moving forward. So let's just get into it. So, Iowa, the Republican caucus is being held tonight. So that's going to be a major thing and a major sore spot for all of these campaigns because really, it's not necessarily about the Iowa caucus. That's not necessarily like the delegates that you get from it. That's not what's at stake. What's at stake is the campaigns and the effects moving forward. If Donald Trump does not do exceptionally well, where he's living up to his polling numbers and comes even remotely close within Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley, then he might have a bit of a tough time with the other primaries, especially New Hampshire, because it would essentially be showing that God can bleed and that the main frontrunner still has weaknesses and still is needs to get his campaign on track. Otherwise, you will end up with Donald Trump losing or coming in relatively close to losing. And is that really that likely? No. No, not really. You have the weather there, which Donald Trump, he has the most enthusiastic voters, and they would probably be most likely to show up to vote in such extreme weather. But outside of that, if he does not do as well as the polling says or relatively near that, then it might pose some problems. Ron DeSantis. DeSantis, he's already going down, and if he does not get at least second place, his campaign is basically over. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets third place and then just drops out after Iowa. He might stay for New Hampshire, but yeah, he might just go by Nikki Haley, and they all manifest around Nikki Haley for New Hampshire. Because Nikki Haley, she's not really worried about Iowa. She's not aiming for Iowa at all. If she won it, that would be nice, but she's not necessarily going for that. What she is going for is New Hampshire. If she does relatively well in Iowa, or even comes close to beating Trump, then New Hampshire is going to be a lot different than how it probably will play out, which is Donald Trump gets a majority of the votes and Nikki Haley doesn't have enough despite Democrats voting in the Republican primary, just despite Donald Trump. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy, he's probably not going to stay after Iowa. I don't know, no, I don't really know why he's still in this race because mostly he's kind of just running on the Trump name, that's it. And Trump even called him out for that. So, will he do that well tonight? Probably not. He's not getting his 8% that he's getting in polling, and he's probably not going to get remotely near that. He will probably get about 3 or 4%, which that does add, and that will most likely be combined with Donald Trump's total once he drops out. But Donald Trump, he's not really going to be affected that much by Vivek unless it's close enough between Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley that it becomes worrisome because Vivek staying in the race, that's just going to give more votes to the other people, and that's just going to have them gain more votes while Donald Trump doesn't have those crucial votes that Vivek is just taken away from him. And that becomes a big issue when you're dealing with places like New Hampshire, where people like Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis do a lot better because you have those Democrats voting in the Republican primary despite, not being Republicans. And that's going to be a big problem because if Vivek still stays in the race after Iowa, not only is he kind of going against Trump, but he's going to take votes away from him in states where he desperately needs them. But Trump, he should be pretty safe for tonight. New Hampshire, still probably pretty safe. And then outside of that, all the states, he should be safe. He just needs to win Iowa and New Hampshire by a decent margin, and then he's pretty much got the nomination secured. After South Carolina, Nikki Haley will probably drop out, and then he'll be perfectly fine. Ron DeSantis, he's not going to do that well because, his campaign at this rate is just a dumpster fire. He can't really salvage much from that. And he will probably drop out after Iowa. Nikki Haley, not really focusing on anything, just kind of wants to get some momentum so she can win New Hampshire, and she's not really going to win anything else. South Carolina, probably not. Nevada, probably not. Super Tuesday comes around, and if she is still in the race, Donald Trump will probably sweep the floor with her, and then she'll drop out. It's really telling, and this just how they do is really about how long they're going to stay in the race because it's pretty clear that Donald Trump is going to get the nomination. There's not really a scenario, or if there is, it's a very, 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 very small likelihood of actually happening. But Donald Trump is probably going to get the nomination. It's just how long that takes to get the nomination and how long he has to spend on the primary instead of focusing on the general election. And really, Iowa's going to be the first step into determining that. Other Either it's going to be Nikki Haley drops out after New Hampshire and Ron DeSantis drops out after Iowa and Vivek kind of drops out to help Trump. Or it's going to be a long battle where Nikki Haley wins New Hampshire and then tries to win South Carolina and doesn't win that. And she stays in the race out of some weird hope. And then Ron DeSantis, he kind of just sticks around for it or stays until Florida and then he loses Florida and that all happens. So really, it's going to be how long they stay in the race, honestly. Donald Trump, he's pretty much got it secured. Iowa, pretty big Trump state. It's mostly going to be who shows up, who's most enthusiastic, and if a lot of Democrats cross over to vote for Nikki Haley. Ron DeSantis, Vivek, Asa Hutchinson, which for some reason he's still in the race, they don't have any chance. Nikki Haley and Donald Trump, they're really the only people with actual chances of winning Iowa or even gaining a massive majority of Iowa. And Nikki Haley, she has way less of a chance than New Hampshire because Ron DeSantis has taken away votes. And really, her voters are very, very unenthusiastic about her. They're mostly just voting for her because they hate Donald Trump and don't want to vote for Ron DeSantis because they view him as too close to Trump, even though Ron DeSantis, his base is mostly at this point either I vote for Donald Trump after Ron DeSantis drops out, or I don't like Trump and I'm voting for Ron because he's not Trump. And then Vivek, he's just kind of there. He's probably going to drop out soon, but despite that, my final prediction, honestly, it's pretty simple. Trump, he's going to win Iowa. It's not really debatable. And most likely he's going to win it by about say 57 23 delegates. He's going to win a majority, and it's just how much of a majority he's going to win. It's possible that he gets under 50% if Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis they take more, but really, they're not going to take enough that he loses Iowa. Very, very slim possibility that he does lose Iowa, but that's very, very, very unlikely to happen. Mostly it's going to be Donald Trump, how much margin does he win by, and how much does Ron DeSantis lose by? Because it all depends on how that plays out, whether Ron DeSantis stays in the race or Donald Trump starts to lose momentum and has a harder time winning a lot of these other states. So Donald Trump, he gets a decent majority. Nikki Haley also gets a pretty decent majority. She gets about 18 or 19%. Ron DeSantis also probably gets the same because despite having lower numbers in polling and probably going to get a lot lower if there wasn't such bad weather, he does have pretty enthusiastic voters, so it kind of just evens out for them. And then Vivek, he kind of just stays there. He doesn't really get much, maybe 5% at the most. And then all these other people, they get the remaining 2%. Maybe we'll just give it to Asa Hutchinson, which for some reason he's still in the race, but that's including write-ins or these other candidates who are running despite being under 1%. So overall, Donald Trump, he's probably going to win. Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis are fighting for second place. Asa, he's kind of just there, and same with Vivek. Vivek probably drops out soon. And Donald Trump, he's probably going to get a massive win. If he doesn't, it's probably going to bring a lot of problems, but in the end, he's probably still going to get the nomination no matter what. It's pretty unlikely that he doesn't get the nomination, and if that were to happen, that's a pretty big failure. That's on par with Ron DeSantis and his campaign for 2024. So overall, Donald, he's got a pretty good chance, and we'll just have to see the results for tonight. But that's my final prediction. Did I get it wrong? We're just gonna have to see tonight. And yeah, I probably got some parts of it wrong, just telling by how much of a margin that Donald Trump has over Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, and just factoring the weather, which is gonna be the wild card. But overall, I'm pretty fine with this prediction. And if you disagree with it, leave it in the comments below. And if you agree with it, also leave it in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Out.